Let's see if there's any overs in the player props, guys. Obviously, you can bet unders as well. But, Matt, let's go back to you. Is there a specific player prop on the slate that you want to target tonight?
Yeah, we don't have enough time because I could probably list like 10 of these. I think this is a really good night for props because there's a lot of injury scenarios that could dictate some value here. But I'll stick with the Warriors where to me, it looks like the Andrew Wiggins line and the Gary Payton Jr. line, or Gary Payton II, I think you have to call him the second. Those numbers for all of their stats are essentially pricing in that Steph Curry is not going to play. What they're not pricing in is the chance that Draymond doesn't play, which I guess I'm the only one who really thinks that because Draymond Green's name is on the board too. His props are also available. So really this just comes down to, I don't think Draymond's going to play and the market does, which means you're going to get some extra time for Kevon Looney going up against Jonas Valanciunas. Like they're going to need a big body out there. And that really, like without Draymond, they have to play him. And then Wiggins just has to do more too. Like the line's already moved up because Curry's out. But if Draymond's out too, that's just more responsibility for Wiggins in all parts of the game. So I'm looking, it's 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Wiggins, 14.5 for Looney. Assuming Draymond doesn't play, I like both of those.
Okay, there you go. Nick, anyone you want to target specifically?
Yeah, I like 2 points props from that game, and one of them is Andrew Wiggins, who, like Matt laid out, I think that number is a little bit low. And, if you want to go points, rebounds, assists, you can certainly look in that direction. But 20.5 just for points, I think is pretty good value. And, you're getting minus 115, so it's, you're not going to wind up with $1 million here. But without Steph Curry and potentially without Draymond, I think, Andrew Wiggins essentially becomes the number one or, 1B at worst scoring option for the Warriors tonight. So I think that one makes a lot of sense. And Jonas Valanciunas as well from that game. I think, potentially removing Draymond from the situation, not that he's a great, one-to-one matchup for Valanciunas, but certainly you like Valanciunas' chances to play well in that game. His number is only 17.5. He's gone over that easily in his last 2 games since returning from COVID protocols at 25 and 16 against a good Suns team in his last game. I mean, he's just been so ridiculously consistent this season. It feels like he's going over that number almost every single night. So, potentially removing a couple of key players for Golden State makes me like Valanciunas even more.
All right, Garion, 2 votes for Wiggins. He's Canadian. Come on, we got to make it around here, right? Let's go. You like him too, obviously.
Not just a Toronto native. Went to school like 20 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. I'd go in on that Wiggins over. I think it makes a lot of sense. I will say the prop I'm targeting not in that game, going back to the Celtics-Knicks game. Little worried about overs here just because the Knicks have really just been running like a glacially slow pace their last 10 games. They're not even just lowest pace in the NBA across that span. It's lowest by a pretty wide margin. But I like Jason Tatum's points, rebounds, and assist prop. It's at 33.5 right now. The over is minus 125. Some guys have taken a little bit of time to reacclimatize themselves after being in the COVID protocols. Not Jason Tatum. Played 37.3 minutes last night, took 20 field goal attempts, wasn't very efficient, so he wouldn't have actually hit this prop, but I'm just encouraged by the amount of volume we saw. It seems like he's just going to be back to his full role, which is one of the guys who was leading the NBA in minutes played before going on the COVID list. So I think if you've got Tatum playing like that, especially considering he's grabbed at least 8 rebounds in his last 6 games. So if he's just going to do that, all he pretty much has to do is come close to his season average scoring total. And that's before we even get into the assists. So I just think that number is a couple points too low.